Effect number 1. Coffee gives you energy. You think coffee gives you energy. You're dragging in the morning, you drink coffee, and suddenly you feel awake. So coffee must be creating energy, right? Wrong. Coffee doesn't give you energy. It blocks the signal that tells your brain you're tired. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain produces a molecule called adenosine throughout the day. Adenosine binds to receptors in your brain and says, "You're tired. Slow down." The more adenosine builds up, the more tired you feel. Caffeine has a similar molecular structure to adenosine. When you drink coffee, caffeine rushes to those same receptors and blocks them. Adenosine can't bind. The tiredness signal can't get through. You're not more energized, you're just temporarily deaf to the fatigue. The reality is different. The tiredness is still there. The adenosine is still building up. You're just masking it. And when the caffeine wears off, all that accumulated adenosine floods your receptors at once. That's why the crash hits so hard. You're not crashing from the coffee wearing off. You're experiencing all the tiredness you were supposed to feel over the last 4 hours, all at once. Coffee doesn't create energy. It borrows alertness from your future self and charges interest. Effect number 2, the afternoon crash. You drink coffee at 8 a.m. You feel great until 2 p.m. Then you hit a wall. You're more tired than before you drank the coffee, so you drink more coffee to fix it. You just created the problem you're trying to solve. Here's what nobody tells you. Coffee spikes your cortisol, your stress hormone. Cortisol increases alertness and energy. But your body doesn't like sustained high cortisol, so it compensates by dropping it below baseline once the caffeine wears off. You go from artificially high cortisol to below normal cortisol. That swing is the crash. And here's where it gets worse. If you drink coffee first thing in the morning, you're spiking cortisol right when it's naturally peaking anyway. You're adding fuel to a fire that's already burning. The math tells a different story. Your natural cortisol rhythm peaks around 8 to 9 a.m. If you drink coffee then, you're wasting the caffeine's effectiveness and guaranteeing a harder crash later. The truth is messier. If you wait until 10 to 11 a.m., when cortisol naturally dips, the coffee works better and the crash is less severe. But you don't do that because you're already addicted to the morning ritual. You're not tired in the afternoon because you need more coffee. You're tired because the morning coffee disrupted your natural cortisol rhythm. Effect number 3. Caffeine tolerance builds fast. You used to feel wired after 1 cup. Now you need 3 cups to feel anything. You assume you just need more caffeine. That's not tolerance. That's your brain adapting to a drug. Here's what's actually happening. When you flood your brain with caffeine every day, your brain responds by creating more adenosine receptors. More receptors mean you need more caffeine to block them all. Within 1 to 2 weeks of daily use, your brain has significantly upregulated its adenosine receptor density. You're not getting the same effect from the same dose because the target has gotten bigger. The reality is harsher. You're not drinking coffee to feel good anymore. You're drinking it to feel normal. Without it, you feel below baseline because your brain has too many adenosine receptors and not enough caffeine to block them. This is dependency. You've chemically altered your brain to require an external substance just to function at the level you used to function at naturally. And the worst part? The energy boost you used to get? That's gone. Now you're just maintaining. 3 cups gets you to where 0 cups used to get you before you started drinking coffee. Effect number 4, sleep disruption. You stop drinking coffee at 2 p.m. Bedtime is 10 p.m. 8 hours. Plenty of time for the caffeine to wear off, right? Wrong. Caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. Here's what that means. If you drink 200 milligrams of caffeine at 2 p.m., you still have 100 milligrams in your system at 8 p.m. You still have 50 milligrams at 2 a.m. You're going to bed with the equivalent of half a cup of coffee still circulating in your brain. And it's not just about falling asleep. It's about sleep quality. Caffeine blocks adenosine. Adenosine promotes deep sleep. Even if you fall asleep with caffeine in your system, you're spending less time in deep restorative sleep stages. The truth is different. You think you're sleeping fine because you're unconscious for 8 hours. But your sleep architecture is compromised. You're getting lighter, more fragmented sleep. You wake up less rested. so you drink more coffee the next day to compensate. You've created a cycle where coffee disrupts your sleep, poor sleep makes you need coffee, and coffee disrupts your sleep again. The math is brutal. If you want genuinely caffeine-free sleep, your last cup needs to be 10 to 12 hours before bed. For most people, that means no coffee after 10 a.m. But you won't do that, because you're already dependent. Effect number 5. Anxiety and jitters. You drink coffee and suddenly your heart is racing. Your hands are shaking. You feel wired, but not in a good way. You're anxious for no reason. That's not a side effect. That's a direct effect. Here's what's actually happening. Caffeine triggers your adrenal glands to release adrenaline and cortisol, the same hormones released during a fight-or-flight response. Your body thinks there's a threat. Your heart rate increases. Your pupils dilate. Your muscles tense. You're in a state of physiological stress. But here's the problem. There's no threat. You're just sitting at your desk, so your brain scrambles to find a reason for why your body is in panic mode. It invents anxiety to match the physical state. The reality is messier than you want to hear. Coffee doesn't give you focus. It gives you stress. The alertness you feel is your body preparing to run from danger that doesn't exist. And if you're already anxious, coffee amplifies it. You're dumping gasoline on a fire and wondering why you can't calm down. That jittery, overstimulated feeling isn't a bug, it's the feature. Coffee is a stimulant. Stimulation feels good in small doses and terrible in large ones. You just crossed the line and didn't notice until your hand started shaking. Effect number 6, digestive effects. You drink coffee and within 20 minutes you need to use the bathroom. You think coffee just gets things moving. It does, but not in the way you think. Here's what nobody tells you. Coffee stimulates stomach acid production. More acid means faster gastric emptying. Your stomach dumps its contents into your intestines quicker than normal. Coffee also stimulates colon contractions. It's activating your gut's motor function artificially. And if you drink it on an empty stomach, that acid has nothing to digest except your stomach lining. Over time, this can contribute to gastritis, acid reflux, and ulcers. The truth is harsher. That morning coffee ritual where you drink it black before breakfast, you're bathing your empty stomach in acid every single day. And the bowel movement isn't your body naturally eliminating waste. It's your colon being chemically forced to contract before it's ready. Here's the reality. If you need coffee to have a bowel movement, your digestive system has adapted to require external stimulation. You've trained your gut to be lazy without caffeine. That's not healthy digestion. That's dependency extending to your intestines. Effect number 7. Fat burning and metabolism boost. You've heard coffee boosts your metabolism and helps you burn fat. The fitness industry loves pushing this idea. So you drink coffee before workouts thinking it's optimizing fat loss. It does boost metabolism, temporarily, and the effect is smaller than you think. Here's what's actually happening. Caffeine increases thermogenesis, your body's heat production, by about 3 to 4%. That sounds good until you do the math. A 3% increase on a 2,000-calorie daily burn is 60 extra calories. That's half an apple, one bite of a cookie. And here's the problem with that. The effect diminishes with tolerance. After a few weeks of daily use, the metabolic boost nearly disappears because your body adapts. The reality is different. Coffee might increase fat oxidation during exercise, but that doesn't mean you're losing more body fat overall. If you're eating the same amount, you're just shifting which fuel source your body uses during the workout. And the appetite suppression? That's temporary too. Many people end up eating more later to compensate for the energy deficit they created. The truth is messier. Coffee isn't a fat loss tool. It's a mild, temporary metabolic stimulant that stops working once your body adapts. If you're drinking it for weight loss, you're wasting your time and building a dependency for negligible results. Effect number 8. Focus versus creativity trade-off. You drink coffee to focus better, and it works for certain types of tasks. But here's what nobody tells you. Coffee enhances convergent thinking, solving problems with one correct answer, while impairing divergent thinking, creative, open-ended problem solving. Caffeine increases dopamine and norepinephrine in your prefrontal cortex. This sharpens your focus, improves your reaction time, and makes you better at analytical tasks. But creativity requires a more relaxed, diffuse mental state. It requires your brain to make loose associations and explore unusual connections. Coffee tightens your focus so much that you lose the peripheral awareness needed for creative breakthroughs. The math tells a different story. If you're writing code, analyzing data, or doing detail-oriented work, coffee helps. If you're brainstorming, writing creatively, or solving novel problems, coffee might actually hurt your performance. And here's the reality. You're drinking coffee for every task because you're dependent, not because it's optimal for every task. That creative block you hit after your third cup, that's not a coincidence. Your brain is locked into narrow, focused thinking and can't access the loose, exploratory mode where good ideas come from. Effect number 9, withdrawal symptoms. You skip your morning coffee one day. By noon, you have a pounding headache. You're irritable, fatigued, and can't concentrate. You tell yourself you just need coffee. You don't need coffee. You're in withdrawal. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain has upregulated adenosine receptors to compensate for chronic caffeine use. When you don't block those receptors with caffeine, adenosine floods them all at once. The result? Headaches from blood vessel dilation, fatigue from unblocked tiredness signals, brain fog from reduced dopamine, irritability from disrupted neurochemistry. This is your brain screaming for the drug it's become dependent on. The truth is harsher than you want to hear. If stopping coffee makes you feel terrible, you're not a coffee person. You're addicted to caffeine. And the withdrawal symptoms can last 7 to 12 days. Headaches peak around day 2. Fatigue lingers for over a week. Your brain needs time to downregulate those extra adenosine receptors and return to baseline. But most people never make it past day 3. They drink coffee to fix the headache, and the cycle continues. You're not functioning well because of coffee. You're functioning poorly without it because you've chemically altered your brain to require it. Effect number 10, long-term brain changes. You've been drinking coffee daily for years. You think it's harmless, it's just coffee. But your brain isn't the same brain it was before you started. Here's what nobody tells you. Chronic caffeine use permanently changes your brain's receptor density and neurotransmitter production. Even after you quit, your brain doesn't fully return to its pre-caffeine state for months, sometimes years. Studies show that chronic caffeine users have altered dopamine receptor sensitivity, modified adenosine receptor density, and changes to their brain's reward circuitry. You've trained your brain to expect an external chemical to achieve normal function. The reality is different. Every day you drink coffee, you're deepening that neurochemical dependency. Your brain is adapting to the presence of caffeine and losing its ability to regulate alertness, mood, and focus without it. And it's not just receptors. Caffeine affects brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which is critical for learning and memory. Chronic use can reduce BDNF levels, potentially impairing your brain's ability to form new neural connections. You think coffee makes you smarter and more productive, but long-term, you're trading short-term alertness for chronic neurochemical dependency and potentially reduced cognitive plasticity. Your brain is being remodeled by a drug you don't even consider a drug.